The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Welcome to On Trial, where we debate the merits of your favorite movies. Hope you're ready hot for it, because if on trial.
Ooh. I love that at the end. Ooh. Welcome to On Trial. All rise. The court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Harry T. Stone is presiding. Tonight on the docket is Maximum Overdrive, and joining us, it's less a. This is every time we have more than like two people, it's less a court hearing and more of just kind of a plea bargain. So joining us for the plea bargain once again is Kilo Alpha Tank. Another silly name. Kat, how are you?
Well, what's up, guys?
Howdy.
I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you're here as well. And of course, the original brother from another mother. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Sean, you're not. How do you do, sir?
You're a man on the other end of the tin can and string. Always a pleasure to be here. And man, we have been waiting on this one for a while.
Yeah, this is I'll just real briefly. I had never seen it before, but this is one that was, if you walked around enough VHS video rental places at the time that those were a thing, like, and I'm talking like the mom and pop ones, not Blockbuster. I always like this one always like stood out to me. The cover of it stood out to me. The truck with what looked to be the Green Goblin's face on it.
Mhm.
And like I remember as a kid being really interested in it, but it being in the horror section, and I don't want to watch horror as a kid. So I never saw it, and it's never been remade, turned into a series, had a sequel, started its own cinematic universe. So we never talked about it. So I thought this is the year of fun. We're having fun, Sean. Mandatory fun. We're having fun this year on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. So this was the year I decided we're going to watch Maximum Overdrive, written and directed by horror master himself, Stephen King. And I believe the assistant director on this was Koki McCokeface, as I recall. Yes, Kat.
This is to this day, in the year of our Lord 2025, the only movie that he has ever directed, and he has no memory of it.
that tracks for me.
Well, you know what? By that point, he had transcended to become a being of pure, uncut Bolivian booger sugar.
Yeah.
He had absolutely subsumed his own mortal form, and he was just complete Bogota marching powder.
Yeah.
All just up and down.
And at the time, I believe he was writing it, and he was writing Pet Sematary. He has no memory of that either.
Amazing.
My favorite Stephen King is Coked Up Stephen King, because it gets wacky.
Yep. Someone sent me
Well, because by his own admissions, so much of his work throughout his career was about his addictions.
Oh, yeah.
He was just letting it all go onto the page.
So, Sean, more importantly, did you figure out what hockey game you're going to watch tonight?
Yeah, actually. Chicago and Boston were about midway through, but I just restarted from the beginning. I think that's all I was up to one.
So he's watching a hockey game. I'm watching Thursday Night Football, the Eagles versus the Giants, which looks to be at Giant Stadium. Kat, what sport are you watching while we're supposed to be doing a podcast?
I am very passively checking out the Blues opening game.
Excellent. Love it. Two hockeys and a football. Sounds like a sitcom. Hey, let's talk about Maximum Overdrive. In the summer of 1986, Stephen King decided to direct his own nightmare. He wasn't satisfied with just writing about the monsters in his head. He wanted to point a camera at them, feed them gasoline, and set them loose on the American highway. The result, as it often is, was Maximum Overdrive, a film born from the strangest alchemy in Hollywood history, a best-selling novelist at the height of his power, a major studio craving another King hit, and a director so blitzed on cocaine he later admitted, "I was coked out of my mind the entire time." That's how he said it, I believe. I think he said it like Ed Gein. "Oh, well, I was coked out of my mind the entire time."
Oh, that's great. He's from Wisconsin.
At face value, Maximum Overdrive is a simple premise with a rock and roll heart. A mysterious comet passes over Earth, and suddenly machines, from semi-trucks to arcade cabinets to lawnmowers, gain sentience and declare war on humanity. The machines always hate us. A handful of survivors trapped in a truck stop outside Wilmington, North Carolina, must fight for their lives against a convoy of unmanned death machines that just keep circling the lot. But under the camp, King is flirting with something grander, a vision of technology turning against its creator. And what better time to talk about this? A theme as old as Frankenstein and as American as the interstate. In 1986, the United States was in love with the machine. Computers were entering homes, arcades were cathedrals for teenage idolatry, and Ronald Reagan's Morning in America campaign sold progress as an inevitable good. King's film flips that narrative on its head. He takes the same blue-collar machinery that built the American dream and makes it the enemy. The truck, the symbol of freedom and labor, becomes a predator. The gas pump, the artery of commerce, becomes a weapon. Even the jukebox playing AC/DC is "Who Made Who?" turns mocking and mechanical, spitting coins and blood in equal measure. Culturally, Maximum Overdrive is a time capsule of the 80s hubris. It comes from an era when filmmakers thought spectacle could solve storytelling, when King was treated like a brand unto himself, and when a movie could be marketed on the promise of Stephen King finally, Chris Bailey, directs his own terror. What audiences got instead was a bizarre collision of slapstick, splatter, and Southern Gothic melodrama. A film so loud, how loud was it? So self-indulgent and so high on its own gas fumes that it crossed the threshold from bad to mythic. And yet, my loves, beneath the madness is a weird sort of honesty. King has always written about America's relationship to its machines. The cars, the factories, the appliances that turn ordinary life into horror. Christine, as we've reviewed on here, was haunted by obsession. The Manger was about industrial greed, but Maximum Overdrive, this was his confession. A drug-fueled exorcism of his own guilt and excess. It's as if the movie is screaming, "This is what happens when you give the machine the keys." So on trial tonight, we're putting Maximum Overdrive in the dock. Was it a creative meltdown from a writer who flew too close to the sun, or a misunderstood piece of outsider art that accidentally predicted the age of autonomous horror and runaway technology? Is Stephen King guilty of cinematic negligence, or was he just the first man to admit the machines had already taken over? Let's find out. Kat, why are you here?
I'm here because I love Stephen King. I literally grew up with him. The first thing that I got to see of his was it in real time when I was 4. My parents would read me Cycle the Werewolf, which is what Silver Bullet is based on. So my mom and I sat down and watched a lot of the adaptations, and boy, do they vary wildly in quality. Also, they do. Also, I used to get this movie mixed up with Free Jack.
Okay.
Because they both had Emilio Estevez in it.
Okay. God,
But
I haven't heard Free Jack in dog's age.
yeah, well, neither has anyone else.
Yes.
But I feel like his adaptations fall into 3 categories, right? It's so good. They are modern American classics like Carrie and The Shining and Stand By Me and The Shawshank Redemption and both adaptations of it and so on and so forth. Or the second category is that they're so bad they're good. And the third category is they are nigh unwatchable. Thankfully, this one is in the second category, so bad they're good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sean, I know why you're here. I made you. Beyond that, when was this your first viewing of Maximum Overdrive, or have you seen it before?
I think this was the first time I had actually sat down and watched the entire thing start to finish. But there's a reason for that. This, oddly enough, was not one of the movies that I picked up from local video stores in, between Mitchell, South Dakota, Jefferson City, Missouri, and Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, that gradually turned me on to horror. Rather, I instead came upon this the other way a lot of people did, and that's the fact that it was one of countless C tier or below horror movies that was almost always playing somewhere on cable. Most frequently on either USA or TBS or TNT. Almost always one of those three. Almost always playing. I remember back when we lived in South Dakota in particular, the ritual was Mom and Dad would get a movie, make some popcorn, have a little mini date night down in the basement. And I, enjoying having a color TV in my bedroom for the first time in my life at about 12, 13, 14 years old. Of course, living in South Dakota was the first time we had cable, because in Minneapolis, it was absolutely unaffordable for a one-income household. But in South Dakota, much more affordable. So we got a basic package. And again, I quickly discovered and gravitated toward those three networks. That brought about a couple of consequences. Number one, I became a professional wrestling fan again because I started watching first Raw on USA and then WCW Monday Nitro. Number two, the combination of Rhonda Shear's rack on the first night of USA Up All Night of each week and syndicated reruns of Silk Stockings didn't so much kickstart puberty for me as turn the key and break the motherfucker off in hypersexual gear. That engine has never died. And also, I discovered via USA Up All Night various blocks on TBS, Mystery Science Theater 3000, and Monster Vision on TNT, horror. And every so often, yes, indeed, Giancarlo Esposito is indeed in Maximum Overdrive. Good eye. Mm-hmm. And this one I remember loving when I would get to see snippets of it because the violence, rather than being scary, it was like watching a fucking Looney Tune on acid. Because everything was so over the top. There weren't really that many people in the movie you were really rooting for, but you were absolutely into kills that were, again, so cartoonish, so animated, so over the top and imaginative at times. It was almost like watching someone conducting a beta test for Final Destination. Like they were really trying to see how much they could make the kills the true highlight of it, as accidental kills in particular. And one of the other things I remember as I would kind of learn years later was the weird juxtaposition in the marketing and kind of the publicity for the movie of Stephen King making number one quote that aged like an avocado in the sun. If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Steve, what did we learn? And number two, I think the world just wants movies where you can just leave your brain at the box office. By the way, I was reminded of both of those. I always like to kind of give credit to my research when I can to Dead Meat's fantastic episode of The Kill Count focused on this movie. Yeah, if you at all have any inclination of wanting to get into horror, not just as a casual fan, but as someone who truly appreciates it artistically, I don't think you will do much better than James A. Janice and Chelsea Rebecca. Please go.
I completely
Please check
agree
them
with
out.
that.
All right, so
Like,
let's get into the movie. I love this. I watched this with my son Friday night. This was no, sorry, Tron Legacy was Friday night. I watched it with him Saturday afternoon, and it's so funny that you brought up the Final Destination things, and so did the 11-year-old. He was like, "Was this?" I was like, "Was this where Final Destination just like stole from?" Which I laughed at.
If that were the case, honestly.
The first half of this movie is like my favorite movie ever. Like the first 45 minutes of this, as we're meeting the characters, we're setting up this world, and then finally the machines start killing people. It is one Looney Tunes-esque Final Destination-like kill after another. It was like the same minds that wrote Terminator and Terminator 2, but were also on acid. It's fucking great. Like watching the trucks kill people, the various machines turn on people, and then the other half of it, because like I'll tell you this, and I've said this before about horror. If the definition of horror is that it scares you, this movie fails on every level.
Oh, yeah. Oh, certainly.
However, if you take it out of the horror genre and it's kind of a Sam Raimi-esque dark comedy, it works on every level.
I feel like there's an alternate timeline where this gets adapted to be a hit Adult Swim series that somehow runs for 15 fucking seasons.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm laughing every kill. Jonas and I are just hooting and hollering. It's funny. It's good that you both are here because you both remember talking about this. It was the same kind of reaction we had to watching The Toxic Avenger.
Yes.
Where, you're just like, this is clearly you're here for a good time. This is not supposed to be taken in any way seriously. And so you don't take it seriously and you have yourself, this should not be treated as high art. This is the kind of grindhouse cinema you catch at the drive-in in like the 60s and 70s. It's great. Here's the problem. Something should be left as like at best 45 to 60 minutes. Some things should never be more than a short film. Because after you get past the kills and after you get introduced to the worst Southern accent I've ever heard come out of Emilio Estevez, to the point where like I just forgave him. I was just like, you're terrible. I don't think anyone cares. You're hilarious to listen to. Judge Radledge will allow this. So I'm listening to him interact with all these other characters. They all sound half stupid. The actor who plays his boss, who's a really great actor. I don't know what the fuck he's doing in this movie. Like when I say that, I don't mean like how he got casted. I mean I don't know what accent he's doing. I don't know what line readings he's giving. He's just like, I don't know. Stephen King's like licking ants off this concrete. I'll just do what I feel is right here and hope for the best. It's a lot of this.
Fucking evil Commissioner Gordon over here.
Yeah, he's just awful. But I'm having a good time laughing at what is clearly not a serious product. Here's my problem with this movie, Kat, and I will let you in on the discussion here. At about 45 minutes into it, the movie stops being fun. It's like they remembered. It's like, okay, we've killed a lot of people now. It's kind of like Independence Day, but worse. Where after they've blown up most of the world, that first initial alien strike, Independence Day kind of dies for a while. Like I don't mind it. I like Independence Day. Don't get me wrong; it's one of my favorite movies, but it's slow, and it really doesn't start to pick up again until the final battle. Like that's a long middle.
Yeah, it's a slog.
Yeah. It gets away with it because some of the characters are interesting. I mean, your mileage may vary with this because somewhere out there, Robert Winfrey just pulled his own head off.
Yeah.
But if you're not Robert Winfrey or like a snooty art critic, the characters in it are kind of fun to follow, and you get kind of wrapped up in the melodrama. So Independence Day can kind of survive a slog middle. This movie has the same pacing, where it's an awesome beginning that runs for about 45 minutes, a death slog in the middle, and then finally at the end, where they do the war against the machines, it picks up again. I just want to get your reaction to that, like how they kind of had to remember there has to be a plot here and characters, and that's where this thing completely unraveled for me. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. It does drag in the middle to the point where I honestly don't remember a lot what happened in the middle because I am so high off that vending machine called me an asshole line. And also trying to figure out how old Yeardley Smith is in this movie. Because, like,
fun fact about that.
Yeardley Smith is my favorite character in this entire movie.
Mine too.
Fun fact about that. She was only a year removed, or a year ahead when this movie came out. I guess the phrase would be, about a year removed. A year later, the first Simpsons short would appear on the Tracy Ullman show.
There we go. Yeah. No, that timeline does check out. And like I think Maximum Overdrive came out in 86. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like a year before that, she was in Legend of Billie Jean playing a character who I think is 12.
Mm-hmm.
Because she gets her first period or whatever. So I think it's 12, and she looks very 12 years old because she's
poor Yeardley Smith.
I love her so much.
She is
Like,
I know.
She's cute as a button. And like even though she was, kind of a shrill kind of chick in this, I love her.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like
she look, I know I talked about the Adrian scale, I think the last time we all got together. But she fucking cracked me. Like every word out of her mouth. You better not die.
Yes!
Yeah, hey, you better. She's like, look, the end of the movie happening over there. I have to go help. You better not help. Just let those people die. It's like I've never heard anyone so cute. Sounds so awful.
And like, she's either 13 or 43, and never the twain shall meet. Like,
it's not right.
She's got one of those voices where you're like, is that my little sister? Is that my grandma? Like, I love her so much. And honestly,
I feel like this was even a running joke when she was on Herman's Head, which I can't fucking believe I remember her in that. Jesus.
Yeah.
What's that again?
Herman's Head, the sitcom.
Herman's Head.
Not familiar.
Okay.
Hank Azaria and Yeardley Smith were both.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, we're talking about how the movie dies in the middle, Kat.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it dies a horrible death. It dies a horrible death in the middle, and to the point where I don't care about these people anymore. Like,
yeah.
Most of the time, like now as an adult, I'm like looking at my phone, going, "All right, so we got about 10 minutes before like they pull a Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This is gonna be great," and then they do.
It gets quasi interesting when the one like Jeep shows up with the gun, and that's when they kind of figure out like these things can be reasoned with.
Yeah,
and then there's the bit that because again, Independence Day, just to sort of do a parallel, it's not just a long middle. There's things that happen. They try to come up with a battle plan that fails. They do a counterattack that fails.
There's more character development.
Yeah, we get some time to sit with the characters and they lament the decisions that they've made, that sort of thing. Before they, and then Judd Hirsch does his metaphor about the cold that saves the day. Still cracks me up, and another thing my father hates. Like, that's not how computers work. Sit down, Dad. Here, it doesn't do as much of that until the Jeep shows up. And then they're like, okay, these things can be reasoned with. Let's see what they want. Oh, they want to be fed. Okay, well, now we're developing symbiosis. And then I can't remember what the next plot point is, but it leads to them fighting back against the machines. I'll tell you another thing, and I want to get your opinion on this. This is such a nitpicky film critic thing, but I'm me, and it's fine. The rules of this universe are not consistent, Kat.
No.
No. Oh,
some
God.
machines are coming to life, but not all the machines are coming to life. Some machines are trying to kill them. Other machines are just not doing much of anything. And and it kind of took me out of the movie once we were done killing people.
Right. So I don't know if that was much of a choice, as they were just like ran out of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because this movie feels like it was written in pencil. You know, like like making it up as he's going along.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Cool.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you made that comment, and I got to follow it up with something. Did you ever read Trucks, the short story this is based on?
I have not, but I know about it.
Yeah, I haven't looked, and I was kind of hoping you knew about this. I'm wondering how much of what's in Trucks is in this movie, and then how much of it they had to just make up because, as people will find out once they try this, books don't always translate well to films.
Right, and well, I mean, this isn't a book. This was a novella, which I cannot think of which collection it was in right now.
Mm-hmm.
But so it was maybe 10, 15 pages.
Right.
How do you make a 90-minute movie out of? Never mind. I already know the answer to that because I mentioned Shawshank and Stand By Me. But
those worked.
Yes, they worked. Of course they worked because
I mean, one of them was, for one thing, one of them was directed by Frank fucking Darabont.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say they were actually directed by people who knew what they were doing.
By filmmakers, yes.
And here's the thing. I love King. He's one of my favorite authors. He's written some of my favorite books of all time. He does not know how to he does not know what to do with the middle of a story.
Yeah, he needed a second screenwriter, like an actual movie screenwriter.
Or just somebody who's looking over his shoulder going, don't.
I'll tell you this, and I'll get your reaction to this. He's too dependent. Like, this might work in a novel. It doesn't work on... It can work on film, but not this film. It did not work. He was too dependent on the melodrama between the characters.
Sure.
He was too dependent on the love story between Emilio and Skinny Gal. He was too dependent on some of the other stuff that was going on in that town with those people. And when it works, it's fine. I'll be the same person who says what carries this movie is those relationships and the dialogue between them, and that's all good stuff. If you'd like to see a movie that does that well, watch Jaws. Jaws is a really great example of the shark shows up 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie, the very long movie, is guys talking to each other. And it's brilliant. This movie is not Jaws. This is very much the antithesis of Jaws.
No.
Why don't you give some thoughts on that and whatever else you're thinking about this movie, and then I'll go over to Sean.
Okay. So, you're right. This movie is not Jaws. This movie kind of... Whoa. So, the thing that makes Jaws so effective is the fact that, you wait a while until you see that fucking shark, you know?
Yeah.
You know it's there. You see people, being pulled, under the water. You hear them screaming. You see the blood. You don't see the shark, right? Maximum Overdrive blows its load within the first, 20 minutes?
Does it ever?
Yeah. There's no build up to it. It's oh, well, shit, this thing called me an asshole, to, oh my God.
It blows its load, and that post-nut clarity is a bitch for the next 90 minutes.
Yeah.
To go with that metaphor, it's like you get the cum shot within the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then the rest of the 40 minutes is just you watching the girl be glazed on. It's like, are we going to do anything else with this? No, just stand here and look at the girl. Look at the girl.
You're sitting there all crusty and you can't find a towel.
Okay. Wandering around like Bert from Sesame Street. Won't somebody bring me a towel?
Bert, I need some snacks. All right, sorry.
Oh God, I'm exactly high enough for this podcast.
I'm not. Garcon. Bring me with my vape. No, I'm kidding. It's downstairs and I'm not walking down there. I'm old now. But honestly, I think this movie does get saved by the people in it because they're so funny. Even Emilio Estevez, right?
Mhm.
Like he went from Breakfast Club and they almost fired to this.
What a career trajectory.
Right?
And at some point very soon he will do Men at Work.
Yes. But before that, he will do Young Guns.
Sure.
Where that southern drawl gets a little better.
Emilio Estevez, describe your career in one word: buckshot.
No. I mean, I can do it in a sentence, but like, Emilio. But
I'm glad you beat me to it.
I actually mentioned that I was going to be discussing this episode, and my friend Haley goes, Emilio, and then gets like, and
Okay.
then gets kind of awkward about it because we didn't say anything at first. We're like, oh, it's just from Night of the Roxbury. Bitch, we know the movie. We are also in our like late 30s, early 40s.
Mr. Mighty Duck himself.
Mr. Mighty Duck himself. But he saves that for me because he's like charismatic.
Yeah.
And he's funny.
Yeah.
Like I said, this movie fits into the category of so bad they're good. Like it's right next to Sleepwalkers for me.
All right, Sean, go ahead and tell us what you thought of this movie.
I mean, I think it works on a couple levels. It works on a so bad it's good level because it's so fucking earnest.
Mm-hmm.
It's because Steven is actually trying to take his own work, and even though he admittedly was trying to make a leave your brain at the box office kind of movie, you can tell he's still trying to make something that would be worth watching to him.
And it's fun to watch.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely, it's fun to watch. Look, and that's another level that it kind of works on, is the fact that to this day, but especially at the time when this came out, there was very much a prejudice against horror fans that they must all be inherently evil and sadistic inside to be entertained by death and gore and torture and the supernatural and the occult and the demonic and blah, 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 blah. All you really need to know is we're not that far removed from the Satanic Panic at this point when it came out. But what I think...
We were in the shit.
Oh, yeah. But what I think this movie really demonstrates is that horror fans, as much as horror creators, do have an inherent sense of humor. And we are, at our best, in fact, some of the warmest, silliest, most friendly, goofy-ass, mostly harmless people you could ever fucking hope to meet. We are the metalheads and punks of the film genres.
Certainly.
Yeah. And on this level, it 100% works. And it works in part because you can tell that the actors knew up, down, and sideways to a man, woman, and child that this script was absolute dog shit. But they were determined to get the absolute most out of it that they could. And god damn it, if they don't put in some work.
It's high camp.
Oh, definitely. It is absolutely camp. And it is fucking glorious camp. I will temper my praise a little bit. And I will admit that this also proves why not everybody in a certain area is good at necessarily every stage of a process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great Mitch Hedberg bit that I remember him joking about, where he talked about how in Hollywood, if you're a comedian, the first thing everyone wants to know is if you can write, and if you can act. It says that's like someone being a really great cook, and I worked hard to become a great cook, and then someone just goes, yeah, but can you farm? And it kind of harkens to me to it is sort of the same phenomenon of, Elton John, sublime pianist, great voice, could not write lyrics to save his life. Meatloaf, incredible voice that could rock the heavens. For fuck's sake, get the pen out of his hands. Paul Heyman, easily one of professional wrestling's greatest creative minds. As long as you have your promotion's checkbook buried 16 feet underground underneath a foot of lead, locked and guarded by Cerberus himself, because he will financially, generationally bankrupt you. Same thing with Steven. Steven is an outstanding writer. Steven has a phenomenal imagination and is, I think, sometimes even a little more poetic and introspective than people really give him credit for, in part because of, famously in his prime, his substance abuse issues. But this is something that he has just never gotten the hang of, and thankfully this was the one time he ever tried it, and he decided to leave it to people who understand that novels, novellas, and short stories are not film and TV miniseries.
Yeah, this is now a Black Mirror episode.
Exactly. You need somebody who can look at sometimes that raw marble of a story and then envision the perfect tribute to it underneath, but one that just specifically fits the medium. Someone who figured out a way to adequately convey the Mona Lisa in sculpture. And this movie really is just a perfect storm of bless your fucking hearts. It's truly a shame that it also left the cinematographer tragically maimed. But what's there is so bombastic and stupid and really pretty practical and pretty inventive in terms of how they got all those practical effects done. But I think the real hallmark for me, the thing that I'm going to remember about this most, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Mark, is the fact that we get a dangling plot thread in the epilogue text. We begin the movie hearing that we're stuck within the tail of a comet. Okay, whatever. It's a thin premise, but at least it's a premise. Night of the Living Dead did more with less. But then at the end of the movie, we're just throwing out there, oh, yeah, by the way, a suspiciously coincidentally armed Russian satellite shot down a UFO. And by the way, we passed out of the comet's tail. Wait. No. Get your ass back there. Get your fucking ass back there. What's this about the UFO? Where were you supposed to introduce this in the last 90 minutes?
Yes,
Go ahead.
So I will say that that's kind of on brand for him, though. Like,
definitely. Without a doubt.
In Creepshow, with him as Jordy, he turns into the plant man, and then he shoots himself. We think it's over. No. This is spreading, right?
Right.
And it's going to rain and rain and rain, and it's going to spread and cover the earth. At the end of my favorite, the stand where Randall Flagg washes up on a beach or something with like a bunch of in like pre-industrialized the native people. He's like, hi, I'm Russell Faraday, and I'm here to teach you about God, or rather Teach You About Me. But yeah, like there's like he loves that ellipses at the end of his book, and apparently at the end of this too.
Well, what I think it comes down to, and correction, this is my last point, then I'll throw it back there because I'd kind of like to hear what Mark thinks of this. I actually disagree with the Independence Day comparisons. I think that's giving the movie far too much credit. I think if you want to compare it to anything, I think we're in a league with Tremors.
Hey, you shut your goddamn trash mouth. No, actually,
I love Tremors, but I'm thinking in terms of thickness of the plot. That's what we're looking at, and not a Roald Emmerich epic.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
I think the structure is similar. That's the comparison. The content obviously is they couldn't be further apart. I'm going to talk about this, and you guys, if you have more to say about the movie, feel free to pepper it in. But I want to move the discussion for myself. I rarely like remakes. Like I like the idea of them. I may actually like the movie. Who the fuck knows? But I kind of judge each movie on its own merit. But if you ask me, did you want this? Did you like that they made this remake? My knee-jerk reaction is usually no. Because most remakes don't add anything new, or the original was fine the way it was. There was nothing you could do to it to make it better. Some things I want to see remade because technology has advanced, but it would be nice to see what this looks like if now with better technology. I don't really want to see, for example, just to give you a very specific example of what I'm talking about, I would never really want to see the Terminator remade. It would be kind of nice to see. It would be kind of nice to see what they would do with the fixing of the eye if you don't have what is an obvious puppet, an animatronics. What was that?
I said, "Oh man, I love that puppet."
Yeah, we all do. It's such a wonderful piece of cinema, but it's so obviously fake. It's as queer as a $3 bill, and I so what I'd like to so if they were going to remake Terminator, at least I could, Judge Mark would say, I will allow this because you didn't have the technology to really do some cool things you could have done, or what clearly the movie wanted to do. When it comes to Maximum Overdrive, and this is what I wanted to talk about real quick, this is a movie. I don't know if I want to see it done remade as a movie, but I would definitely like to see this concept redone as, like I said, a Black Mirror episode, or a 45-minute to 1 hour short, straight to streaming, because I don't think you can get it in theaters now. Or something, and if you really wanted to be creative about it, something like what Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Grindhouse. Where
So, like,
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
What was that, Kat?
Like an anthology, almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
You come and you watch a double feature, but the feature is about an hour instead of a full 90 minutes to 120 minutes. Remake this, tighten up the plot, change some things, get a better script, and really tell it. Because I think that my hesitancy to say this is that everyone's kind of doing this now. Everyone's writing stories about, AI and what if the machines take over and technology turning on us. But on the other hand, is there a better time than now to tell the story yet again a different way and come at it with some different ideas and what it means? And so I'll throw it over to you, Kat. Would you want to see this movie remade? And if so, how?
I would respect it. I respect the hustle, but I don't necessarily know if I need to see it. I mean, okay. I'll watch it, but I'm not paying for it. How about that?
I'll tell you what my concept would be. If someone was just like, all right, Rattle, let's put your money where your mouth is. What would you do? I would only make the trucks come alive.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the machines, it's as funny as the ATM calling Stephen King an asshole at the beginning of the movie was. Both Jonas and I had a good laugh at that. Yeah. I think I would limit the scope to, for some odd reason, this only worked on cars and trucks.
Okay.
And I would kind of lean into, what if your car stops responding to you? The existential horror, given the amount of cars on the road at any given time.
Open the possibility. Yeah, like they explored it in 2001 as Space Odyssey. So yeah, no. Mm-hmm. Like,
you know, yeah, if you think about the amount of cars driving on the road at any given time across the earth, and suddenly they all became homicidal.
Jesus.
Yikes. You know,
Parking
it's
lot, like, right out there, man.
right. Like, between being driven or just suddenly spontaneously starting up and, and just charging at people and driving through houses and shit, you have an opportunity to tell something truly horrifying with that idea. That's how I would do it, because I don't think you need the microwave to come to life.
It'd be like Christine times however
A
many
billion?
cars there are on the road
Right.
at any given time.
You know what's funny? I'll say this and then I'll throw it over to Sean for his thoughts. We're going through what people on social media are calling the carpocalypse, which is essentially you've got lots full of unsold cars. That's small armies if they all come to life.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Those are battalions. Sean, your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like we've said kind of quite a bit about the movie. I don't know if we really can remake it today because it was made at a very specific time when there was a real love affair with American machinery. I think the only way you remake it is if you do it as a period piece.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it back then. But then I kind of wonder, what would the point of that be? Because how do you do that? Do you just go about it and just try to replicate the same schlocky tone? Because if so, what's the fucking point? When Steven did it, it was endearing because that was the best effort he could come up with, and it sucked, but God love him, he tried. If you do it nowadays, you're just the dumb shits who made a half dozen Sharknado movies. But then again, on the other hand, you could also do it kind of like a Grindhouse movie. You could do it in style of a Death Proof or a Planet Terror. And that could be good. But then on the other hand, you have to wonder if it's going to have the same appeal without that tone that's made it such a lovable cult favorite over the years. It would be kind of like if you took something like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and tried to go full-on Cronenberg body horror with it. I don't know, and I don't know if there's necessarily quite the same opportunity for appeal with doing the same thing, but nowadays with electronics, because frankly, we've beaten that shit into the ground. You refer to Black Mirror. Black Mirror might be the reason we couldn't do that with it. We couldn't do something similar with this movie because we've had Black Mirror, we've had Megan, we've had we've had so many countless other movies that. What's going to be the point of having one more that's what if electronic revolt but movie shitty?
Okay. Let me pitch you one more time because I was thinking about this as you were talking. So I was thinking about scale. And I was also thinking about what are we afraid of right now? Well, we're afraid of, what if we offload too much? What if we automate too much to AI and we lose control of it? That's the existential threat. And yes, some stuff is speaking to that, but not totally and not always coherently. So what if you take the scale of the amount of cars on Earth, you combine it with the technology coming very soon to a road near you of driverless cars, okay? My daughter doesn't want to get a driver's license. She's 14. And she's already like, I don't want to get a driver's license. Like, who the fuck cares about your kid? My kid is an example of a growing movement. Yeah. There are stats out there. There are this research studies that shows less and less people want to learn to drive. And now you don't have to. You have Uber. You have Lyft.
Because they know it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's a loan you don't want. It's there's a lot of stuff. A car is kind of a money sinkhole. And it's less and less easy to work on cars. Ask any technician. I saw a really great TikTok today. He was like, why do I have to remove the entire board in front of, at the steering wheel in order to replace a filter? So cars are harder to work on. They're a money sinkhole. And we live in a world now where it's very easy to not drive, and we have no more love affair with the road. As a matter of fact, if you watch TikTok long enough, people don't want to drive anymore. They might get pulled over by a cop, and it's a whole thing. So my point is, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, honestly, I see more people like at least in my neighborhood. I see a lot more people walking. I see
Right.
more,
Mhm.
So think about, we're moving into a world where people are breaking up with cars. The technology is becoming AI driven and driverless. 10, 20 years from now, there are no driver ready cars. It's all driverless cars. We're all moving around by driverless cars in this fictional world that I'm pitching. And we lose
Okay.
control over the AI. And that's when the cars and trucks start killing us.
Yeah.
There's your movie. There's your existential threat. There's your technology. There's your remake of the premise. So I'm waiting, Warner Brothers or whoever has the rights to this, so to come in and produce.
We as a society have indeed, I will give you this, we have indeed kind of both joked about it and speculated about it ever since the idea of driverless cars and AI driven cars really started to take root, and automakers, Tesla in particular, really started to put some steam behind it. And now that I think about it, no, I can't really think of too much fiction that we've done that really zeroed in on it, especially considering that we have real life instances now that we can draw on when some malicious little shits, just to show that it could be done, decided to hack into these cars and fuck with the navigation, fuck with the basic operation of them. And that is something that I think certainly could be scaled up. I think the problem with that, and here I'm about to piss a whole bunch of Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids off, and I look forward to ignoring your comments. Here is where we kind of run into a problem with a whole incoming couple of generations of creators of fiction. And that's the fact that this is the kind of premise. I could think of several sci-fi greats that I would have loved to have seen tackle this possibility and speculate on it. Robert Heinlein would have been great. Philip K. Dick would have been great. Who fucking else? If fucking Isaac Asimov or Ray Bradbury, I think we're around today. I think they would have a great time speculating on this. But I think the problem is a lot of modern fiction is going to be kind of lacking in thought, in real thoughtfulness and introspection, to handle a topic like that, like something like in the past, like stories like Total Recall and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep would have conveyed those same speculative worries about the future. I know I'm thinking way too hard for a conversation about Maximum fucking Overdrive, but I can't help it now that Mark has brought it up and I'm good and high. I can't help it because I'm trying to think about the generation that is responsible for the absolute bukkake proliferation of shitty fiction we call creepypasta, trying to tackle a weighty topic like this. And what comes to mind does not impress me.
This is on trial, and I've decided that I'm the judge because there's more than two of us. Therefore, I will pass judgment on this movie, and that is not guilty.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why it's not guilty.
Fine with me.
Half of it's good fun. Just let's watch cars kill people. Hooray. Let's watch people give the worst Southern performances of their life. Also, hooray. It's harmless, but I think here's what really is its saving grace. The last 20 minutes we've been talking about, does this movie matter at all? And it does. Because it's talking about a subject that we just spent 20 minutes talking on 40 fucking years later.
Mm-hmm.
whether he realized it or not, he was talking about over-reliance on automation.
Yeah.
And if we offload too much, if we rely too much, if we're dependent too much, it will be our undoing. And fill in the blanks on what I just said. You could apply that to anything, anywhere. That's its relevance. Like, why watch Maximum Overdrive other than it'll give you a laugh? Because it's talking about things that matter to us today, and that by itself makes this movie matter. Kat, I'm going to give you the last word here, and then we're going to call it a night.
Basically, this is a popcorn flick. Like, it's not that deep, guys.
It ain't that deep. It's going to be on its fucking tombstone.
Popcorn, get a couple of beers, smoke some weed, and laugh your ass off for 90 minutes. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
That's all it is.
That's all I say. You're welcome. All right. Sunday. Boy, if you liked me and Kat and Sean together, well, here we come again. Sunday at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, we will be at Kat's request. We will be talking the entirety of the Interview with the Vampire series, of one of which I've never seen. I haven't watched the movie in decades. So
we're not watching the Mayfair Witches, right?
No.
Just the 2 seasons? Okay.
Interview with the Vampire. It's on AMC Plus. I think it might be on.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's on. I'm not concerned about that. I was just concerned about. I know I can get through the 2 seasons of the Vampire Chronicles. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get through the Mayfair Witches.
Don't even touch it.
Okay.
I know nothing about it. It's not a big deal. And I want to say that the Vampire Chronicles are like, I think collectively they're like 16 episodes.
Season 1 is 7 episodes. Season 2 is 8. So I basically got to just binge 15 episodes between now and Sunday night.
That was why I decided to do this as one episode, because I can, as I've learned with doing 7 seasons of The West Wing, I can. 22 episodes is hard. Less than that, I can.
And many seasons of Orange is the New Black together.
Yeah, well, if I can not go naked swimming for a weekend, I can knock out an entire television show if everyone leaves me the hell alone. So,
could be worse. Could be Frasier.
No thanks. There are things I get pitched, and I'm just like, do you fucking people realize I have a job? Shit, like, how do you expect me to watch all this?
Work for a living, goddamn it.
Goddamn right, pal. Anyway, speaking of pals, next Monday we will be reviewing Tron Ares. Wednesday, I will be taking my kids to Ailstorm. And a week from tonight, myself, Alexis, and Jesse will be talking Alien Earth. I will be hosting. I told Alexis that she doesn't get to host that one. I give her a lot of rope to hang herself with, but when it comes to the aliens, the predators, and the aliens versus the predators, that's my beat. God damn it. You keep your grubby mitts off my shit.
Killer of Killers yet?
Yes, we reviewed that last month.
Cool.
This past week, the three of myself, Sean, and David Wright reviewed Tron Legacy, and I threw out a TikTok of our review of the first Tron and Tron Legacy together, gearing up for Tron Ares. We reviewed The Smashing Machine on Monday, and last night, my girlfriend and Erica and I reviewed Monster Season 3, the Ed Gein story. And I will discuss. I have 2 TikToks where I'm going to be either talking directly about that or mentioning it as part of a bigger issue I have a problem with. So stay tuned for that. Kat, I've done those 2 plugs. What else you got going on? Where can they find you and your blue hair? Why blue? Well, I'm just curious. Why blue? I mean, you could have dyed your hair of any colors or no color. Why'd you dye it blue?
Short answer is I was bored. Longer answer is I'm trying to get so. The character that I'm playing in the upcoming film is 70 years old, right?
Oh, okay.
Or close, right? She's an old lady blue hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I dyed it really blue so I can track the fade on it.
Okay,
right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because I've tried silver, I've tried lavender, I've tried periwinkle. it's not the right color. So I think I need more of like an indigo base. I don't know. I'm doing science. Like,
All right. All right. Anything you want to plug real quick?
I have a movie on Troma now. First month of spring.
Yeah.
Each month, it is Christmas Chaos. It is a love letter to the slasher genre, and to mockumentaries a la like Christopher Guest. It's really funny. I'm in it. A bunch of other people are in it, and we talk about Killer Santas.
Congrats.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Speaking of Killer Santa, Sean, tell us where you Twitch and shout.
Oh,
No Twitch stream tonight because I've got some other stuff that I've got to take care of. I am probably going to be on sometime tomorrow evening, depending on when I get back from working out with a friend of mine. But in the meantime, you can join me over on my socials, in particular over on Threads and Instagram at Comer Codex. Mostly because I'm getting ready to start kind of uploading more content and more posts about the journey of Sean and Ann starting OnlyFans, starting with the Sean tries to get in shape to make a go of OnlyFans. And also Sean gets their space ready to start making content for her OnlyFans. Should be fun in between all the talk about hockey, wrestling, sometimes, yes, politics, gaming, what have you. But if you do want to find me on Twitch, I tend to like to go live right after the podcast gets done, over at twitch.tv/ComerCodex. Follows and subscribers absolutely welcome. I play a mix of story-based games, a whole lot of Overwatch 2, and I am currently learning Street Fighter 6.
ooh.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on Trial. Court is now in recess for the lovely Cat with her blue hair, or the lovely Sean with his hat hair. I have a TikTok to record and a game to hopefully win money on. Be well, be safe, and behave.